So this is T-Motor's entry into the Toothpick class of ready-to-fly quads. And before talking about this, I'm going to talk about T-Motor a little bit. So T-Motor is probably the most well-known motor manufacturer, one of them at least, in our industry. And when I wanted to make motors years ago, I went to them to discuss motors and what we wanted. And then more recently with the Toothpick class, I went to them again to discuss and explain, and I actually wanted them to build ready-to-fly quads for me to offer to everybody, and I wanted them to put it together, and I gave them all the spec and my designs and how to make it and what to do with it and where to get the parts, and really wanted them to make it. So the problem that T-Motor has is that they will make a great motor. It'll just take them a dozen tries to actually get it to be good. And so even back in the day, they started making us motors, and just the first couple batches were just awful, and they took forever to get them in our hands for testing. So same thing today. I mean, they've made me, like several batches of motors and several things, and they've just sent me their most recent motor, which is a 1303 motor, which is really nice. I hope it's in the right kV. I haven't seen it. I haven't tested it yet, but it's the right weight, the right size, the right everything. And the reason why I'm bringing all this up is because they're actually not giving me credit for this quad, even though they're calling it a Toothpick quad, and I've been discussing things with them for, I think, 6 months now. They're still not saying, they're saying that they developed this all on their own, which, whatever, it doesn't really matter, but it's just funny that they're saying that. And I bring this up because they actually built this to all the same spec, but they decided to put a different set of motors on it than I recommended. And so this is one of those aspects of companies where even if you're paying them to do something, they still will not listen for some reason. They will do whatever they think is best. And I have 6 months of conversation with them, going back and forth, discussing, no, don't use this size. No, don't use this. All I keep saying is no, no, no. And then they go ahead and do it anyways. So I guess this truly isn't my spec. But let's talk about this quad. So this is their Toothpick, or entry into the Toothpick class. And it is using all of the expected Toothpick components. It's got a Nameless RC all-in-one board in there, and that was the original board that was designed with, that I designed with Nameless RC. We have a number of other options now as well. We have the Beta board, we have the Mamba board, we have the Flywoo board, and we have something else I don't even recall, but it's coming out, or some Sky Star or something I just received the other day as well. Anyways, we have a lot of Toothpick kind of quote-unquote style boards which were designed specifically for motors to be soldered onto, and in this kind of class or this kind of layout where you can actually reach all the things and reach the USB port. It's not sticking up or down or some random location. And so they're using that board, and I'll talk about those later some more, but using that board with a unibody frame, which I'll talk about unibody frames in a little bit as well. The all-up weight of this thing is about 113 grams, and that's not with the R9 that I put on here. I just used R9, this particular R9 receiver, because it's the only R9 receiver that I have that's actually linked to my R9 unit, or one of them, and so it's just easy to keep swapping it from quad to quad and testing everything. So that, and then these props, which actually doesn't come with these props. It's got a 1.5 millimeter shaft, so you still need to use these the T-mount prop screws. And everything else is as you see. It's got a Nano 2 in there, not the new Nano 3. I believe it has a 200 milliwatt VTX in there. I'm not quite sure which VTX is in there, but by now you guys are aware of what you're looking at here. One thing I would note about the frame is that it is really nice that they're using these M2 press nuts. I actually recently found those and started using them on my own designs. They were really hard to source, and they're really expensive to get and use as well. But anyways, let's get to the motor, because that's really the only variation here from most other builds. So this is their F15 motor. To this day, I still have no clue why T-Motor chooses to use this weird naming scheme for their motors. It doesn't make any sense. These are 1106 motors. I had to look them up. Nobody really knows what they're looking at when they look at an F80 or an F70 or an F60. It's just so confusing, but whatever it is, these are 1106 motors in 4500 kV. And so there are some differences between 1106, or just 11 and taller, versus shorter and wider. I've tried a number of 1105s and a number of 1106s in this kind of Toothpick class sort of quad on 3S, different KVs, whatnot. And I found that in general, the taller, narrower stators in this particular class size tend to give you a little bit more flight time when you're flying fast. It's not really more flight time, they just tend to be able to keep up the speed for a longer period of time on the same battery power. Unfortunately, these motors don't exhibit that at all. They're actually not very efficient at all, and they're also low kV, so they're a little bit slower than I would really want them to be, and they kind of draw more power than I would expect. But that being said, I'm talking about little minor differences, and you really won't be able to tell all that much difference. What you will be able to tell, however, is that the 11 size stator just doesn't feel like it's quite as in control as a 13 or just wider size stator. Even the 1204s just feel like they are more in control, and they still have that really high zippy feel to them that a taller stator gives you. Another thing about this is that this thing wants to keep moving at relatively higher speeds than a 13 size or a 12 size motor. I'm guessing it's because of the taller stator, which is a guess, but I know because I've tested a whole lot of them. The taller stators just seem to want to go quicker, want to maintain a higher speed. On this particular size class, once you change the motor size and prop size and everything gets weird and everything changes. But in this particular small sector of class of quads, the throttle just seems to zip through the lower half of the RPM quicker when you have a really tall stator. Now, the 1106 stator is actually, I think, more volume than a 1303 stator. And the only real difference you're going to actually notice in flight is that your throttle feels a little bit wonky because you can't really modulate the lower half of the throttle, and your control doesn't quite feel as locked in control. I hate that word locked in, but as in control as it could feel. And that's really what we're battling. That's what I look for most on this class and size of quad, is that control feel, because coming down from 5-inch, that's what we lack usually when we go to micros. And getting that control feel back is a little bit of a struggle, is a little bit of a challenge, and again, that's what I focus on most. Now, that's pretty much great. If you're looking for a Toothpick class quad, this would be fine. I'm not a fan of the motors. I'm going to be swapping the motors out for the 1303 motors that they sent me to see if those are any better. The previous 1303 motors that they sent me were mostly all overweight, mostly all underpowered, mostly all very inefficient. So this F15 kind of follows that same theme, and I'm hoping this one doesn't, but at least it's the right weight. It's like 6.5 grams or so. Oh, we just got our new motors in, by the way, but that are 6 grams and look beautiful. Anyways, so the frame, I want to talk about the frame. The frame is 3 millimeters thick, and I want to talk about multi-unit versus single unit or one-piece frames again. The frame on this is actually really nice. It's totally suitable. The only thing I don't like about it is that it doesn't have quite enough motor protection, doesn't have motor bumper on there, and I don't know what the weight of the frame is. I'm sure it's around 8-9 grams. This is my own design. This is my BabyTooth 3 millimeter design, and this is, I just had this and I made this because I wanted to give people an option for a single unit, because it is an easier build compared to the multi-unit design, and there are benefits and downsides to both. But what I want to talk about is that I have actually moved these electronics across several quads, and when I started refining the TP3 with the multi-unit arms and comparing it against the single unit, I actually moved from this single unit, which is about 8.3 grams, to the multi-unit, which magically this one happens to be right at 8.3 grams as well. And I didn't expect it to make a big difference, but I was kind of testing the arm geometry, the arm width, the arm whatever, and what I found was that this little skinniness to the arms, I mean, this quad just sounds so clean when it flies, and all I did was swap it from one frame to another. Now, that could be for a number of reasons. It could be for just the arm actually being skinnier, which is what I'm expecting it to be, but it could also be because the vibration profile of this multi-unit frame could be different than the single unit frame. Now, this multi-unit frame does have that center locking mechanism, which is really, really solid and really, really tight, and the new version of this frame is a lot more rigid than the old version. So I don't really know exactly what it might be, but it's one of those two. I think it has more to do with the skinnier arms than the vibration profile, although it could be both. Now, the one other thing I want to point out about frames in general is this one. So this is the Beta HX100, I think. And when I saw this, I decided to pick up a batch for the store. And so we have this and we offer it. And mainly it's because the frame is nice, and it's actually a 4 millimeter thick frame. It looks really pretty. It comes with the glossy finish on it, which I really like a lot, but a lot of people think it looks and feels kind of cheap. It looks like Chinesey. I don't think so. I think it looks beautiful. I would put it on all my designs, but it does cost a good bit, and to me, it doesn't really add enough value to offer it on my designs. And the carbon that we're getting from Amoxino and some other places is actually really great carbon. Now, this particular carbon is cut by Beta, and I've chosen to not have them finish the edges or chamfer or anything, just to keep the cost down, because it's really not that difficult to just file the edges if you really want them to be filed, and it doesn't really take much effort. So I might as well just give you the option than charge you for it, and it's not, there's no really point to that in my opinion. So one thing what I wanted to point out about these designs is that this 3mm design that I have, including the one from T-Motor, it actually feels a lot sturdier than this 4mm design from Beta FPV. And there's one primary reason for that, but I wouldn't really I wouldn't even worry about the durability of these things, because the thing is so light, and the all-up weight of these things is around 100, 110 grams. You're carrying such low forces into crashes that it's so difficult to break one of these frames. They do still break, but it's still so difficult to break one of them. So I wouldn't really compare them in this flexible nature to mean anything at all. I just am pointing something out, that the reason why this 4mm thick frame that actually weighs a full gram more than my own 3mm design, the reason why it's more flexible is because they didn't kind of respect the carbon fiber direction. If you look at this design, and also the one on the T-Motor and a bunch of other frames, you notice that the arms are totally straight and the carbon runs all the way down and across the arm. It's only in the center that it's changed a little bit, which there's just so much meat in here, it doesn't really matter. But it goes straight down the arm, and everything is very, very straight, so the carbon fibers are intact, they're not damaged, they're not sliced. When you look at this arm, they have just cut the carbon fiber like right in the middle of the arm, and so that's just a bad idea, and that's where the flex is coming from. It's coming from this area here and the center area here, because it's all just cut up carbon. There isn't fibers that go straight down the arm all the way into the body. If you break this frame, you're not going to break it here. I mean, this is such a chunky piece of meat of carbon that you're not going to break it here. You're going to break it right under there or down here where it connects to the main body. And that's just unfortunate. Had they just followed this arm thickness all the way straight down, it probably would have weighed the same, maybe even a little bit less, and it would have been far more confidence inspiring. So yeah, that's all I want to point out there. Floss your teeth, take care. There's a lot of really cool stuff that just came in. Bye.